Paul, thank you. So my name is Garima. I handle content marketing at Lead. We have with us Rohit, who is also the part of the marketing team. We have our speaker, Mr. Lolak, with us. I would like to start by introducing Mr. Lolak to you all. So, Mr. Lolak Baby is a passionate education leader with over 17 years of experience in the K-12 education and management space. He began his journey as a teacher and over the years has worked with three international organizations and two education startups, leading large-scale academic transformations and teacher capability initiatives across India and the Middle East. Today, he serves as the National Head of Academic Excellence at Lead Group, India's first school edtech unicorn, where he leads a team impacting more than 2,000 schools across India, ensuring every child experiences world-class competency-based learning. Lolak is the author of Raw Champs, which is the abbreviation for Responsibly Adventurous World Champion, a book on social and emotional learning for youth and parents, reflecting his deep commitment to nurturing confident, empathetic, and future ready learners. He holds a postgraduate degree in education from Middlesex University, UK, a master's in physical education from SAI LNCPE, an MBA from NIBM, and a certificate in school leadership and management from Harvard University. What sets Lolak apart is his ability to blend academic depth with business acumen and human empathy. His superpowers, storytelling, design thinking, and a growth mindset make him not just a leader of systems, but a leader of the people. A very, very warm welcome, Lolak, from on behalf of Lead Group and on behalf of the audience. We are so excited to learn from you. And yeah, the stage is all yours.
Hi, thank you, Gilma. I think thank you so much for the warm introduction and welcoming me to this webinar. And it's an honor for me to address almost 200 plus um, educators in India in a single platform. And I'm really grateful to the opportunity that you have provided to me.
I hope everybody is eager to learn from you. And I will take one more minute. So, any questions that you all have during the webinar, please post them in the dedicated Q&A window. We will take up the questions at the very end. And the recording of the webinar, the participation certificate will go through to you via email. So don't worry about that. And yeah, let's begin.
Thank you. So, good evening, teachers, school leaders, and academicians who are attending this webinar. So this webinar is, I'm sure that you would have undergone a lot of webinars in the same space, which is basically upskilling teachers and not NEP, NEP and sorry, NEP and how to enhance learning outcome. We are not going to speak two different stuff, but at the same time, I will try to make it as simple as possible that how do we actually do these changes very fast and make sure that the schools that we are currently running um, are going to get the best out of it in shortest period of time and in the simplest format. In this webinar, we will be covering three part of the journey. The first part of the journey is more to do with understanding the space of NEP in a larger context. I think what most of us have a idea about NEP, and but sometimes we actually lose. NEP is a very simple framework. Even though it is a huge document, it talks a lot about things. It talks in depth, but in simple things, if you understand, NEP focus on three major areas. NEP asks the school to focus on three things. One, make sure that you're providing right access, equity for all children, which means that all children should have basic foundational literacy and numeracy at a particular age. Second thing which NEP asks to do is take a multidisciplinary approach, which means that make sure that the child is able to complement the learning from one space to the other space. Third thing, which and the most important thing, what NEP talks about is empowering teachers. Make sure that the teachers are able to deliver the number one and number two points very well in the classroom or in the school environment. If you look at it from that simple framework, NEP is asking us to do very simple things. One, make sure that every child knows to read, write, speak in mother tongue very well, plus probably English also, because that is the universal language at this point. Second is similarly, the child should know to do math, basic math, and the math arithmetic application in the real world scenario. He go to the shop, he can do things, basic things. So child knows the math well, basic math well. Also, it also emphasis a little bit on making sure that the child also understand digital learning, computers a little bit, the language of coding and things like that a little bit. These are the foundational things that the NAP is talking about. Second thing is there is a multidisciplinary approach. Can he transfer his learning in math to art? Can he transfer his learning from art to science? So can he do that? That is in the higher grades when they come to. And the third thing which is the base of that is basically teacher development and governance, good governance in the school. So this is the three major factors that NEP is trying to cover in its entire document and in its entire implementation. Now, I said it very simple, but for a school which is already having a specific culture and a specific way of doing things and making parents understand things in a different way, probably it is little difficult to initially understand how can we make this transition faster. So what we will do is we will cover that part in this presentation in terms of understanding how to do the basics at school and then how to make sure that your parents also understand this really well. So before we begin there, let's start with the poll. The poll questions are there with Garima. Garima, can you just post the?
Yes, just posting the poll. Yeah. I hope the poll is visible.
Can everybody see this?
Yes, I think. Yeah, we have started getting responses.
Okay. When you walk into a classroom, what gives you the best sense that learning, not just teaching, is happening?
The higher tilt is towards option C. I can see students discussing, questioning, and applying ideas actively.
Fantastic.
73% of people right now, 74 are choosing the C option.
Okay.
Okay, we can end the poll right now, I think.
Okay. If I think all of you had this is the right answer. Um, so you're right. Most of you are right in terms of. I want to know what is the percentage of people who thought. Uh,
75% of people are saying option C.
okay.
And we have 17% of people choosing option A, then 8% choosing option B, and only 1% with the last option. So
Okay.
mostly it's 75 for C.
Fantastic. I think the answer is right for 75%. The students discussing, questioning, and applying ideas actively is the right way of looking at the learning. That's the best sense of learning. But at the same time, if you the people who have actually selected the first and second need to understand that that doesn't come from the mindset that this is the third answer is wrong. I know most of the schools, we want children to stay silently and listen to the teacher. And that is one thing which we always been propagating and we were following for years. And that's how a generation has learned also. Probably my generation has learned in that way. And the generation before also learned in the same way. So that was not wrong at that time, in my view. I'm still saying this because I always believed that every generation learned in the way the world has been moved ahead. So when I learned in school, or when my parents learned in school, actively teachers teaching and somebody writing down and listening actively and not participating in the classes is one form of learning, and it helped a generation to travel. But at the same time, today's generation is not going to be learning in that format. So that is why the C is the right answer, where the children focus on discussing, questioning, and applying ideas actively. Let's go to the poll number two.
I hope you're able to see this.
Yes. If you had to choose one most critical investment area for your school in 2025, what would it be? We started getting answers.
Yes. So for the second option, for now, we have 45, 46, 47% teacher professional development. Then for the option D, we have 41% technology and smart classrooms. And we
Okay.
are getting answers. I would request all of you people
Uh,
to please participate in the poll and make this session interactive. We have 67% people who have participated right now.
we need 100% participation.
Yeah, 70%.
This is an important question, and you might be thinking, what is the right answer for this? Don't think about the right answer. Think about what is the answer that comes to your mind. First answer that comes to your mind, just apply it.
Okay, 5 more seconds. Please, all of you participate. 72% participation. That is a good number, but we would, as our speaker said, we would need 100% participation from you all. Okay, I think it's safe to end the poll now. I will share the results. Yes.
Great. See, this question is very much relative. And I'm glad to see teacher professional development has become the considered to be one of the most critical investment area by majority of the crowd. But at the same time, 39% of the crowd is looking at technology and smart classroom. I think here the order of priorities are important. If your infrastructure is not really great in the school, when I say infrastructure is not at all not really great, if you don't have a playground, if you don't have a decent even a classroom, then I think, of course, infrastructure comes to the priority, if that is the case. But if you have decent infrastructure, which is good learning space for the child, and then the second most important part, I would say, is the teacher professional development, and then goes to the technology and the smart classroom. By having just technology in the classroom and not having teacher developed for that technology will not help you. Ideally, it should go hand in hand, teacher professional development along with the technology. So I think there is no right answer or wrong answer for this, but the smartest choices would be to go from teacher professional development to the technology, and then branding and marketing will automatically happen if your teachers are really trained and if you have the right infrastructure and the technology and the smart solution in the classroom. Yeah, great. Let's go to the question three. What is the biggest challenge your teachers face today in moving beyond rote learning? Lack of time, limited training or mentoring support, low maintenance or burnout, all of the above. Sorry, low motivation and burnout.
We have started getting answers. Around 57% of people are choosing all of the above. Around 38% for now have chosen the first option, lack of time due to syllabus pressure,
Okay.
and 2% for low motivation and 6% for limited training. As of now, 61% participation. Please participate, everyone. Let's make this session interactive. I think, yeah, let's end in 5 seconds.
Yes.
So finally, 53% of people are saying all of the above,
Okay.
38% of people believe lack of time is the issue, then 7% are choosing limited training, and 2% for low motivation.
I think all of the above is more true in my sense, and lack of time due to syllabus pressure is a major reason of that all of the above. So I think I completely understand the problem that we are facing, and I think we are going to cover some of these important part in the session. Probably by the end of the session, you will be able to understand how to face these challenges and come out of it. Okay, I think let's let's start from here. So once again, welcome everyone for this session, and I got an understanding about the participants and the way the confusions that probably you are having in your mind. So we are gonna unlock one by one in terms of uh, how we are going to do it. So let's start with the first part. The first part is basically, so how do we move from rote learning to uh, future ready schools? First of all, is rote learning bad? In today's context, rote learning is irrelevant. What is rote learning? Rote learning is child sitting and memorizing and doing a lot of hard work in terms of memorizing what the child has to do and reading it, just spending hours behind it, reciting it multiple times, and writing exactly as it is learned for the direct question that is asked. That is rote learning. I feel really sad for the children who actually pick that path because it is tougher, it is unproductive in at one point of time for their life, but at the same time, it is a lot of hard work. Children who do a lot of rote learning do a lot of hard work. But at the same time, if we move the children from rote learning to competency based learning, learning is more fun, learning is enjoyable, learning help the child to be successful in life in long term. Why do schools or parents prefer rote learning? Because most of the parents want to see early success in their children. A simple logic is, when I imagine there is a small family gathering, and the child who's really smart is coming in front of the crowd and singing a song, a memorized song, and the parent get the immediate goosebumps, like, oh my God, this child is doing really well. And that feeling is the reason why rote learning gets a lot of attention. Similarly, a grade 3 child standing in front of the family members and telling the multiple table of 12 or 15 or 13. It's tough to do. But at the same time, when the child does it in front of the crowd, the child gets a lot of claps. Wow. A great feeling for the parent. So the great feeling for the parent, the great feeling for the school is what is driving the rote learning. We need to actually understand this great feeling is a temporary uh, success metric. In long term, this won't have the success. And that's where we need to move to the competency based learning. And it has to start with educating ourselves that it's not about the early success. Uh, it's about the long term goal. But at the same time, early success is important, right? As a school leader, you need to demonstrate early success also to the parent. And the parent also need to demonstrate that or believe that early success is possible in competency based learning. So we have to build opportunities for children to demonstrate learning in a different form so that early success is still being seen by the parents and by the society so that the competency based learning will get a more upper hand over the rote learning. That is how you will come out of the rote learning. Because you cannot just stop rote learning and tomorrow and say that tomorrow onwards my school is going to be run on competency based learning. Tomorrow onwards, none of my children are going to do multiplication tables. Tomorrow onwards, none of my children are going to memorize poems. This won't be accepted by the larger community or larger population immediately. So you need to have a plan in such a way that you have a different way of demonstrating the learning and making the parents believe that learning is really happening in the school and at home through competency based approach. So that's how we are going to do it. So now, how do we build this? First, let's look at the what is the rote learning trap. So there are simple things that happens with rote learning, and it's a trap. So let's look into the trap. So first thing is that students memorize, but they are not able to apply the knowledge. Uh, they understand the tables of math, but at the same time, if they go to a shop and about to buy something, they're not able to apply that table knowledge in the shop. So that is the trap. Second is once the memorization happens now, it is low engagement. For example, after the exam, child don't even remember what the child has learned. They just erase it. So then it's a very low retention. Over time, it disappears. And it's very evident. So that is second part. Third is poor correlation between the classroom success and real life success. And I have seen this in and out in schools. And I have seen many children who have done extremely well in writing essays of 500 words, not able to write an independent sentence on any given topic. So in real life, they are not able to do anything. For example, you know how to draft a letter for fever, but at the same time, you don't know how to draft a letter to a police station. Um, I still remember that it's very simple to write a letter for leave. When I was in school, used to as I am suffering from fever and headache. I know most of you would have done the same thing. But at the same time, if you want to file a police complaint, can we write as I am suffering from theft and something in the house? No, you cannot do that. So understanding the context and writing, bringing that classroom success to the real life is sometimes difficult when it is a rote learning. Now, the fourth point is parents start losing trust. They see smart children, but they don't see confident problem solvers. This I have seen a lot with even higher education a lot. I will give you a very interesting analogy to it. Um, just imagine a engineer who don't know. See, in engineering curriculum, the first year they do everything to basic engineering. But imagine an engineer who comes out of engineering college and don't know what is the difference between AC current and DC current. And I can tell you there are engineers who are like that. they would have learned it in their classroom from the beginning. Even from grade 6, grade 7, they understand grade DC and AC current. But at the same time, they are not able to even differentiate the difference between that after the engineering. I have seen such children. And when a parent who has actually sent that child for engineering, and this child comes out after becoming a civil engineer and he don't know the basics of civil, how do a parent feel confident that yeah, this guy will get a job? Or how do a company get a confidence that yeah, this guy can be employed? So this is the rote learning path. You have the degree, but you don't have the real sense of understanding why that degree is in your hand. So this is the trap of rote learning. Now, at the same time, what is competency-based learning? Competency-based learning is very simple. Focus on skill, understanding, and application. Progression based on mastery, not time spent. Now, let's focus on the skill, understanding, and application. What do you mean by skills? What do you mean by understanding? Um, what do you mean by application? Anybody wants to type in the chat box? What do you see between this? What do you think? What is when we talk about competency based learning? What is the skill I am talking about? Once learned can be applied in our life. Great. For a grade, okay, for a grade two child, what is the thing that he is learning going to be applied in his life? Fantastic. Somebody wrote independent writing. Great. For a grade two, grade three child, if the child can do independent writing, that is the skill. For a grade two, grade three child, if the child can go to a shop and buy a thing and understand the change, he spent 100 rupees, he got 20 rupees back. He is able to count that 20 rupees and come back to the house and tell that, Amma, I bought something from the shop and it was costing 80 rupees and the remaining is 20 rupees and I'm able to give you back 20 rupees. Fantastic. That's the level of skill and understanding we are talking about. It is nothing beyond that. Sometimes we get carried away by thinking that skill means it is something the child has the capacity to paint something great or draw something great. That's not a skill. That's a talent. That's a talent that the child has. But the basic skill and understanding and the application that uh, we are able to understand is communicate in confidence in with language, communicate, write independently, read independently, go to a shop and buy things independently. Uh, when somebody asks a question, responding confidently. These are the skills that we are talking about. And that is what the school has to ensure that the child knows it. Similarly, um, how to make sure that another level of skill and understanding is that for a KG child, if a KG child comes back to the house and went to the washroom and washed the hands properly, it's a skill. Washing hand is a skill, by the way. Washing the hand, we all did it in COVID time, right? And we all learned it. But how many schools focus on teaching that as a skill? Washing hand properly. Brushing properly is an important skill. Um, Eating food in the right way is an important skill. Eating food without spilling to the floor is an important skill. So school has to focus on these skills also. And I have hardly seen schools focusing on these skills at a large scale. There are schools that are focusing on these skills. But at the same time, if you're a school who are not focusing on these skills, these are the skills which you should focus on. Okay. Uh, Second thing is, exactly, students applying what they have learned in real life, what has been learned. Progression based on mastery, not on time spent. This is where the question of syllabus completion comes. We sometimes try to um, spend a lot of time on certain areas of our topic. It's more about making people level based mastery rather than spending too much time on one activity. For example, you don't need to master the writing style of a child before a specific age. It can evolve over time. It is not important to make a child write in a specific format. I mean, write in a specific size letter, all those things at a particular age. For example, it can evolve. For example, grade one, the child might write a bigger A. The same child by grade two will change its habit, handwriting a little bit. Grade three, it will move a little bit more better. So over time, the child has to move. Sometimes what I have seen is that schools focus a lot of time on one specific skill or one specific area. Like, okay, by grade one, all my children have to write fantastically well. Just copy. When I say write, copywriting. But is that really needed? You need to start thinking about it. That is not competency based. That is rote learning based. Handwriting is important, but handwriting needs to develop over time. You need to spend time on ears. Why? Because physiologically it has a lot of importance. For example, the carpal bones of the children develops till the age 7. So till age 7, the child will find it a bit difficult to hold the pen. He need higher grips. So this is something which normally we don't focus on. I want all of us to. So this is a trap. If we focus on one specific skill to satisfy the parents or to satisfy our own ego, rather than focusing on the understand the progression of the child on that specific skill. For example, start with the slanting line, sleeping line, then move to alphabet letters, which is slanting line and sleeping line a lot, then circle. So the time taken for the child to get into the mastery has to be very well planned. Third is learning designed around real world performance. What is real world performance is child has a very high imagination space. When you understand a child, when you look at a child has a better imagination than adult in almost every areas. How do you fuel this imagination is very important. A simple example is if you ask a child to explain in his own words a fantasy world, the child will explain it. The child will definitely have his own view about the fantasy world, the way the world has to be designed, and all those things. So there you have to understand that child has a better sense of the world than what we have, because we have a lot of experience on the current world, but the child thinking is very different from what we are thinking. So we need to create some real world experiences for the children in the classroom. For example, having 4 different corners in the classroom in KG is a right way of doing it. There is a speaking corner, there is a sensory area, there is an area for digital area, there is a reading area. So all these 4 corners designed, child knows I have to go there and do this. I'll tell you a very interesting example for this. For example, imagine in a week of the pre-primary week of introducing different public services. What are the public services? Hospital, fire station, police station, panchayat office. All these things can be recreated in a small form in a school. This is giving a real world experience for the child. And the same thing which you did in the KG, you can extend it in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5 also, but in a different level. So level 1 is introducing to them. Level 2 is helping them to play the role. Level 3 is play the role and write about it. Level 4 is play the role, write about it, critically explain it. Level 5 is play the role, write about it, critically explain it, and make better suggestion about it. So improve this year on year for the child. Every year the child will understand what is public service. This is called central idea based learning. So a particular idea, which is public service, is a central idea, and based on that central idea, over the year the child will progress. This can be done in any school. And by this, you will cover a lot of topics in EVS also. And the child will become independent speakers over time. So this is how you develop a learning design around the real world Indians. Fourth, and the most important part is assessment measure what students can do, not what they can recall. Assessment is actually, I have a way of saying assessment is helping child navigate through unexplored areas of life in a controlled environment. Unexplored areas of life in a controlled environment, because our classroom is a controlled environment. There we are giving them questions which is unexplored by them. And they are traveling through that and able to think and write from what they have learned or what they have saw, what they saw. That is what assessment is all about. Now, most of the time, what we do is we try to check their memory. We try to check what they learned in the classroom. There, we are not giving them an unexplored area. We are giving them an area to recall. Is it not important? You can have some part of the recall. Probably 10 to 20% of recall is good enough. But your 60 to 70% of your assessment should be based on how child can think and write, and think and speak, and think and explain to you. And that is very, very important. Now, I will give you some interesting strategies to shift from the rote learning space. And more than strategy, I would say you have to understand that most of the schools have done the level 1 of this. I will explain you that. See, most of the schools have learned that designing learning outcome based on competencies are important. And I have seen whenever I go to a school, I see most of the schools doing this really to an extent, okay. They know now that they have to teach in the classroom on the real world context. So many schools are doing it. When you look into your school also, you will feel like, yeah, I'm doing this. And this is true. Because our books are designed like that now. So whichever the book you're using, most of the books are now designed based on learning outcomes based on competency, because NEP is directing that. Even the NCERT books are designed based on that. But at the same time, when we come to the level 2, adopting inquiry-based application-based lesson plan. Here, the amount of adoption by the school are less. When I say less, the number would be around 60 to 70% of the schools are only using lesson plans, if they have a lesson plan in hand. Most of the schools also don't use lesson plan, but even if they are using lesson plan, they base some part of inquiry-based, application-based, and all in nowadays. So it is happening in some place. Then come to the third part, which is basically the toughest part, which is integrating the formative assessment, quick check of understanding. Here, teachers are struggling. Because here, most of the teachers, what they are trying to do is they are going to go with the book back questions, not able to create a real question that do the competency-based check. Now, from here onwards, the schools are actually not able to implement competency-based strategies in the classrooms. And I want all of you to introspect, look into it, and work out in terms of how to do this. One is you need to have a clear system in place to do this. Because the third one is very important. The formative assessments are very important. And how to make those formative assessments quick enough is one skill that the teachers need to learn. And the fourth one is using project and case studies to apply learning, which is very, very critical. And here in LEAD, we do something called SLC and SLM, where we ensure that the schools do the project-based and case study-based learning. So the fourth part is also tough in many schools. Most schools, what they do is they do science exhibitions. they do a lot of exhibition-based activities, which is more of a parent preparing for kids and kids coming and presenting it. But that's not the right way of doing it. The right way of doing it is children able to uh, understand their learning and build that into a real world environment scenarios and build solutions based on that and build projects based on that. I will share with you a simple story. Last week, I was in a SLC, which is in around 20-25 schools, lead schools combinedly did an SLC, and there was a coding project. And that coding project, one girl presented to me a idea, which is how to make India's public toilets clean. She took that as a, and I asked her, why did you build this project? She told, wherever I travel, I find this problem. And it is very relatable to all the women of our house. Most of the women travel with us, find very difficult to use the public transport. So children starting thinking about those kind of problems and addressing those kind of challenges in real world is what we want children to pick up. So that is how competency-based learning will transform the childhood. The fifth one is building cross-curricular link. This is very, very important. But to do this, you need your math teacher and your art teacher to speak together. For this, your science teacher and the physical education teacher have to work together. That's how you can build cross-curricular links. This is a long way for our schools. Our schools have not yet reached. So I think most of the schools in India have understood that they have to make the learning outcomes on real world context because the exams are changing. So people are doing that. But when it comes to adopting that in the classroom, because of the portion completion issue that we face, we are not able to do that. Then integrating it in the formative assessment is a long way because one is the tools are not there to do it faster. Teachers find it really difficult to frame questions. At least high-end schools are using now ChatGPT and the other GPT resources to do it. And the fourth point is coming to application of these learnings in the real world environment. Schools are finding it difficult to or not able to understand how to do this in the real world environment. And fifth one is building the cross-curricular learning between art and science or art and math and science and physical education. This is another challenge which we are going through. See, doing these five things is the right way to move away from the rote learning. And if you do these five things in the right way, automatically your classroom experience will become very different. For example, imagine your topic is water cycle. In rote learning framework, it is very simple. Define and label the water cycle. This is the question that will come. But at the same time, in the competency version, it will be design a community rainwater harvesting model. By the way, this picture is from one of the lead school, which we have taken. So it's a two different way of looking at the entire learning system. Now, I hope you guys had some clarity about the first part, which is moving from the rote learning to the competency based. Before we go to the next part, Garima, why don't we have a poll?
Yes.
Poll question. So, what best differentiates a competency-based classroom from a rote learning classroom? What do you think is the right answer? Garima, somebody is telling that they are not able to see the poll.
I am getting answers like around 50% people have already participated. Can you
Achha.
please try to log in once again or check your internet connection if you're not able to see the poll? We have around 92% people saying that students demonstrate understanding by applying concepts in new situations. So third option, people are choosing around 90%, 91% I can see right now. Mm,
Okay, which means that they understood the first part.
yes,
Any
68% participation.
any other answer we got?
2% for the first option, 3% for second, and 3% for the last option. So 91% people are saying they believe in the third option.
Okay.
I'll end the poll and share the results.
Yeah. So this is great. Actually, we have a huge number of people who understood the difference between the competency-based classroom and the rote learning classroom. You will be, by the end of this session, you will be getting a form, a self-evaluation form in terms of how your classroom is. Do it honestly, with integrity to yourself. You will be able to understand where your school is currently with that form. It's a 10 question, it's simple 10 questions. If you do it with your own, and the answers are, the scoring is also there. And if you fall under a specific scoring, you can evaluate yourself and understand where you are. And if you need any help from there, you can definitely reach out to our team and they will be able to help you from there. Okay, let's go to the next part. Why teacher upskilling is the game changer to move from rote learning to competency-based learning. See, the central piece of education is teacher and student relationship. It is not, it is everything else is secondary. If there is a relationship between teacher and student in the um, most authentic way, that school will always have enough number of students, and that school will never struggle in life. And for this, teacher upskilling is the game changer. Sometimes school leaders think that rest all the things are more important rather than the teacher upskilling. And teacher upskilling, many people believe that it is just training. And teacher, that's why I use the word upskilling. I didn't use the word training very purposefully. Because for us, the upskilling means it is training. Trust me, it is not. The retention of a training is less than 2 to 3%. If a teacher undergo a training, the retention of that learning is less than 2 to 3%. And I will help you understand scientifically in this journey how a person learns and how the person's retention of knowledge happens or retention of training happens. So teacher upskilling is an important part because curriculum reforms fails if teachers are not trained to translate intent into classroom practice. You take any curriculum. Every good curriculum is a bad curriculum if you have a teacher who is not upskilled. Every good curriculum is a bad curriculum. So the first part is any curriculum reform has to happen with the teacher upskilling. Now, sometimes we misunderstand the role of a teacher in curriculum. Teacher's role is instructional practice role. What is instructional practice? They are architects. They are not deliverers. They are not a delivery boy who comes and delivers Swiggy or Zomato's food. They are not the people who just read out the textbook in the classroom and do the activities that is prescribed in the classroom. They are architects. They have resources. With those resources, they build the lesson plan. They build, with the lesson plan, they build a great classroom environment. With a great classroom environment, they will translate the learning into real life knowledge. So it's a stage of process. It's a process stage. They build lesson plan to classroom experience to real life experience. That is why they are curriculum architects. A 21st century classroom teacher should be trained in inquiry and discussion facilitation. Now, when a question comes or when a discussion starts, how do the teacher facilitate that discussion is very important. Will the teacher take a side? Will the teacher favor someone? All these things are very, very important in a classroom. So the teacher should know how to do an facilitation of an inquiry as well as a discussion. Also need to run competency-based assessment, how to design assessment that are competency-based. Moreover, to do these two things, building right system is the key. You need right system in the school to upskill teacher, not blind teacher training or teacher sessions. When I say this, I don't know how many of you agree with this, but this is a reality. This is my experience which I am talking. I have ran hundreds of trainings and teachers clap for my trainings. When they go back to the classroom, they will go back to the old way of teaching. And I have seen in front of my eyes and I figured it out that training is great, but execution is bad. I used to get all training. This is great. We will try to do this in classroom. But when they go to the classroom, they are not able to do it. That is because they find difficulty in the classroom because they didn't get a right system in place to do it. That is the reason why people actually believe that trainings are not working anymore. Okay. Now, what is the way to address this problem? What is the way to actually manage this? And that's an important thing. What is the framework of building an system in school? There is a four simple step I will tell you, and these four steps are very, very important. First thing is, every school should have a 15 to 20 minutes of micro learning modules for teachers. What is micro learning module? It is basically teachers spend some time learning, self-learning. Even self-learning should be promoted in the class, in the school, and the school should give time in the school to do it. Don't expect the teacher to do it in their home. It is not going to work. Give them a period, give them a time of self-learning, and they have to spend time in it. One of the action I tell schools to do this is set up a good library in school for teachers. In many schools where I used to manage and work, we set up the libraries. And trust me, teacher library is an asset. And we just don't set up the library. We also make sure that the teachers are reading books. Teachers are not just reading books, they are reading books and coming and training other teachers in the same school of what they have learned. These micro learning culture in the school will build systems. That is number one. Number two is peer observation and feedback loop. Teachers need to be observed by each other. There is a and these observations should not be to criticize teachers. For example, a math teacher goes to a science teacher classroom and say that you are not teaching science well. That is not the way to work it. Teacher go observe, share positives. 3 positive, 1 corrective action, or 1 area of improvement. Peer observation and feedback are very, very important. And this also part of culture. So first thing is to start the micro learning, then peer observation and feedback loop. Third is learning communities within schools. There is an organization called Toastmasters International. And this Toastmasters International is a public speaking platform. I was a member of Toastmasters International for almost 10 years. I know many schools adopt Toastmasters in their school and they run Toastmasters clubs in the school. And it's very powerful. It's building learning community. You don't need to bring in a club to do this, but you can also build a learning community within school between parents and teachers. it is very, very important for teachers and parents to collaborate together. Because in your parents also, there will be teachers in some other schools. In your parents also, there will be people who are expert in different other areas. There can be doctors, there can be engineers. Bring them to the school. Help them to work with your teachers. Build a learning community. For all these things, you need a structure. So first thing is micro learning. Second thing is peer observation and feedback loop. Third thing is learning communities within school. And fourth one is outcome linked professional development. For example, when you do a PD, when you do a PD in the school, for example, you are doing a teacher training on developing independent writing for grade 3, and you have trained your grade 3 teachers on how to develop independent writing. Now, in next 3 months, you should be able to see whether the children are able to do that activity in the classroom well or not. If you're able to do that, and if you're able to measure it, then you will find a lot of success with your PDs. If you don't do that, PDs will become just waste of your time and money and energy. So please make sure that all your PDs, professional development that you do, is looking at what is the impact of student learning in the classroom. Classroom management. I have seen schools asking for session for classroom management. What is the pre and post of classroom management is very important. So this is very critical, and make sure that you are understanding this and build this in your school. Trust me, if you start with the small library, then a observation and feedback loop, and a learning community, and the outcome linked PDs in your school will automatically develop the culture of competency based learning. And your teachers will train among themselves. And we are trying this out in many of the lead schools, and now it started seeing good results. And I can say that many of the schools are slowly adopting this method in our schools also, and it's helping them a lot. Now I'm going to teach you or help you understand how change works, because this is something to understand, because this is where people find it difficult. Uh, um, a lot of difficulties come in understanding why people don't learn. For example, why PDs are not just very effective. I will come to that part. See, when you look at a person, no, person has the first place where their knowledge is, and this is very important to understand, because if you spend enough time if you don't focus on next 5 minutes, you will not understand this part. Most of our learnings happens from our knowledge, past knowledge, our belief, and our attitude. Most of our personal domain, that is called personal domain. Most of our personal domain comes from our knowledge, past knowledge, our belief, and our attitude. This get complemented with external source of information. That is called external domain. So our personal domain is there, where our knowledge, belief, and attitude is there. Then our external domain, from where we get the external source of information. This is more of what we read, what we see in TV, what we hear from others. This is the external source of information. Even professional development is part of this external source of information. This develop our domain of practice. These two things will contribute a lot to our professional experimentation. Our knowledge, belief, and attitude, along with our external source of information, will drive our professional domain of practice, which will bring us the domain of consequence, which is the outcome. This is how a person's knowledge develops, or a person's actions happen based on these 4 areas. How it happens? For example, your personal domain will create an enactment, which will create a behavior on external domain. But that behavior will give you a reflection that will act to your personal domain. Similarly, your external information will go to a practice. But these two things will build your knowledge again. And whatever the outcomes you get out of it will again build your actions, but at the same time, it will create a reflection loop for you. What you need to understand is if you don't build a culture, your domain of practice don't improve. And if you don't improve your domain of practice and your reflection and looking at your outcomes more carefully, it will not change the behavior of the person. So if you want to change the behavior of your school entirely, what you need to do is you need to build the culture that I asked you to build in the previous slide, which is of at least 20-25 minutes of weekly learning, having a good library, peer observation, um, and peer observation, then PD, as well as the learning communities. Sorry, learning communities and the PDs. This is very, very important to build the change environment. Now let's go to the second poll. Garima, can we go to the second poll?
Yes, I have served the poll.
Which teacher development model creates a most sustainable classroom environment? Well, can we share the answers now? Garima?
Sorry, I was on mute. So, 95% of people believe in the second option, continuous micro learning, peer observation, and feedback loops.
Okay.
We have 2% for teacher performance reviews and 2% again for sharing curriculars and policy updates, and 1% for one-time annual training. I'll share the results as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think this is getting more interesting. I can see a large number of participants giving full attention to the session. That's fantastic to see. This drives us to the third part of the session, which is quick one and most interesting one most of the time. Uh, how investing in teachers build reputation for the school. See, this is very, very important. Schools need to learn to invest in teachers. And the future is for the schools that are investing in teachers. Trust me. When I see this, I'm talking from the experience of last so many years in schools, working closely with schools. If you don't invest in teachers and if you don't retain your teachers, good teachers, it's tough because you will invest a lot in their training. And if they keep on moving, you will every year you will invest on training and you will find really difficult in terms of building a reputation or a brand. Now, teacher growth leads to classroom quality to parent trust to the school reputation. This is the cycle. Parents today choose school for teacher quality and engagement. This is the biggest change that COVID has brought in. COVID has actually revealed the incompetencies in the school in a large scale. Trust me. When the video classes started, most of the parents realized that the teachers who are there in the school are not good enough to teach the kids when they are paying hefty fees. And this happened for a lot of the big schools and good schools, which I know personally. From then, and today, if you look at the new parents, Gen Z parents, They look at school from the teacher quality and the engagement of the teachers. They come to the school, they do the school tour, they talk to the teacher, then only they take a decision about whether my child should study in the school or not. Trained teachers is equal to visible classroom transformation and parents' advocacy. Upskilling only drives it. Consistent academic outcome is important. And this will drive to stronger word of mouth. This is the only way the schools can build reputation nowadays. And that is why investing in teachers are very, very important. Now, what is the return on investment in investing in teachers? Now, let's look at what is the investment. If you train and retain teachers regularly, you will see consistent benefit of 30 to 35 students average. Your one teacher can bring 30 to 35 students if that teacher is really of good quality. And that's what you need. Your investment is better learning outcomes. If your investment is better learning outcomes, your return is better parent satisfaction. Similarly, the third investment is personal touch and safety net. This is the area where I'm going to focus on. Most of the schools I meet tells me that they are not able to retain teachers. Teachers don't stay with them to more than 1 year. Why is this happening? One of the key reasons for it is that teachers are don't finding it safe working with your school. Let's be honest with you. And there is no personal touch from your school to the teacher. And that is the exact reason for it. Why do people prefer a job? People prefer a job mostly for the satisfaction and safety. 2S that I call satisfaction, safety. That is why people take a job. Otherwise, people would have gone for entrepreneurship. People would have done something by themselves. People who don't believe in safety don't believe in jobs. They mostly look at entrepreneurship because that is highly satisfying. Now, this safety net is very, very, very important. One thing which I tell school owners nowadays is that why don't you actually provide a good insurance to your teachers? Why don't you provide a free tuition for their children? Why don't you provide them free training opportunities by you investing and showing that I'm investing so much money on you, please get trained from this organization. These are very small investments and trust that you build with teachers. Good schools does this. They provide safety, they provide good, decent tuition fee structure for their or free tuition for their kids. Also, they will provide some more benefits to the teachers like vacation allowance and things like that. And this make a big difference. Trust me. When I say this, I have seen schools technically not doing basics right and expecting teachers to stay for long. Similarly, I have seen schools operating from the lack of trust, getting their certificate and holding their certificate unnecessarily. No companies does this today, and it is not right to do to the teachers. When I say this, don't blame me. This I have seen, and it pains me as an educator because teachers don't feel safe there. Trust build safety. You need to trust your teachers. You need to build with your teachers, and you need to train your teachers, upskill your teachers. You need to give the opportunity for them to grow. Show them the path to grow. That personal touch and safety will make your teacher retention up by 2x. If a school is not able to retain 85 to 90% of their teachers, that school in long term will suffer. Yeah, Rohit? Sorry. Fourth one is recognition culture. We need to make sure that there is clear reward and recognition for teachers. That is very important. Celebrate teachers along with students. I have seen schools advertising the name of the students, 100% marks. But the teachers who are behind them, are we celebrating them? Why don't you celebrate that? For example, uh, put a poster of a teacher in front of the school telling that the teacher has been teaching science consistently for last 10 years and this teacher has produced absolute amazing results. That is an investment. This recognition culture in front of the parents, in front of the community, will help the teacher to build a brand for herself. And they will not leave you because they build the brand because of you. Of course, you need to retain them because they are done great job for you. So this is one important thing that school have to start taking very seriously, and that will make a big difference. Now let's come to your action plan. Once you end this presentation, once you get the competency audit form from me, please do it and conduct an audit on your practices. Second, once you do your audit, once you understand where you want to improve, implement the teacher development framework that I have given you. 20 minutes of regular training, sorry, regular micro session powered by teacher library and community learning and PD based on outcomes. Showcase in 6 months, make sure that you showcase the teacher's achievement publicly. Build, trust me, in 1 year, you will see the parents getting satisfied. You will be able to see better parent satisfaction in your school over this time. Just adopt these 4 5 steps and the points that I have covered in the slides. You will be able to do a fantastic job. The best investment a school can make is not in infrastructure, but in the human heart and mind that shape the future every day. Girima, we can go for the third and the last poll.
Yes, I will just serve the poll.
What is the most powerful driver of parent trust in your school?
We have started getting answers. Most of the people believe in the third option, visible improvement in teacher quality.
Fantastic.
Uh,
I think we did some justice to what we are doing.
yes, around people are still answering, so let's give them 5 more seconds and then we can end the poll. So 97% of people have chosen option 3.
Oh, this is fantastic. Actually, um I'm glad that there are more than 200 people participate in the poll, first of all, and this number is consistent. So I think 224 people are actively participating in the session. Thank you so much for being there and doing that. Um, Second thing is uh, great way to. I think most of you understood the messages, and please take uh, take your time, process it, go through the presentation once again. If you have any doubts, please reach out to us. We will be happy to help you. We are here to build good schools and make sure that every child in this country, in our country, get the best out of our teachers. We cannot miss this bus. NEP 2020 is an opportunity for all of us to move and build Viksit Bharat, and we all are in that journey to build the country that stands for us, and we stand for the country. Let's make sure that this is a great opportunity for us, and let's work together. Uh, I'm the session ends here, and I'm open for questions. Garima, you want
Uh,
to take the rest of the part and then take the question? How do you want to do it?
we can take up the questions first. So in the Q&A window, I can see some comments, and so there was one question which says how to habituate the children to the competency-based learning, how to convince the parents.
Okay. You don't need to convince the parents. You have to demonstrate in front of the parents. Don't try to convince parents. Demonstrate in front of the parents. That's why I told you. Um, Parents want to see results. Parents want to see what is happening. Um, if you actually, for example, I will give you a simple example. If your parent come to a school and you are telling the parent, okay, you can give any topic to your child, and your child is going to speak about that topic for a minute, and the child and the parent experiment that in front of you, and the parent see that child is speaking about any topic, won't the parent be so happy, satisfied? That is one way of doing it. And second one is the child to tell the rhymes. Both will satisfy parents. But in the first action, where the child speak independently, the child is also growing faster. So focus on demonstrating the learning in competency-based model. Currently, most of our schools are demonstrating the learning based on the rote-based model. Move your demonstration to the competency-based model. That is how you will convince the parents. You will not convince the parents, parents will get convinced. So do that. That is the right way to do it. So, any other question? The first question is what? Sorry.
Yeah, this was the question. So, okay, first question in this was how to habituate the children to the competency-based learning.
Train your teachers. Children are children are what teachers get trained on. If you build the model that I have given you for the teachers, automatically they will get there. Children will automatically get there. If your teachers are doing competency-based lesson plan, if your teachers are implementing competency-based activities in the classroom, automatically the children will do that. So focus on teachers, not on children.
Okay, we have one more question where Sushma is saying that there are times when parents are resistant to change. And even for exams, they come and demand for a change. So, how to change the mindset of such parents?
You will not be able to change the mindset of any parent. You will only be able to demonstrate success to the parents so that they change themselves. Trust me, after trying so hard, sometimes I'm not able to change the mindset of my own mother, who's a teacher. So it's very difficult to change an external person. My mother is a teacher. I'm a teacher. When I tell my mother that my daughter sometimes try to skip the class, try to do a drawing instead of doing math. So my mother immediately gets agitated and she will say that why is she doing this rather than focusing on studies? I tell her that it's okay. If the child wants to do that, let her do it. But it's not possible to even convince her. So don't try to convince the parents on that. Keep on demonstrating the right behavior to the parents. Over time, the parents will understand this because the world is going in that direction. They cannot stop. So you have to build in that process inside you. Don't try to convince them. This is a very small fraction which is actually going to make trouble for you. Focus on the majority. That small fraction will come to you.
Okay, we can take up one more question. So we have a question from Narsimha. They're saying you were talking about tables being memorized for rote learning. Do you mean to say memorizing tables is not required? Is it like it's a basic in maths? So that is why Narsimha is asking, he says.
Uh, Memorizing, you don't need to memorize tables. You need to understand tables. What is the application of tables is the most important part. So memorizing is not needed, but the child should be able to apply it. For example, when we memorize, what we do, we memorize it like a poem, right? It's like a poem, we memorize it. Rather than doing that, what we should do, Narasimha, is that child should be able to think 2 into 2 and understand that if I 2 square is there plus 2 square is 4. The similarly, multiplication is multiple step of addition or that's what multiplication is, right? So is the child able to understand that concept and apply that in the mind? Child might take little extra time to answer the question, but it's okay. So it's better than rote learning. So knowing table is important. Knowing the table is very important. I will not debate that. And children should know the table up to 100. And child will be able to understand the table up to 100 if they don't memorize it. Because it's a logic, right? There's a logic behind the table. That's what we should do.
Okay, one question is from Irshad. They are saying how to create the environment of skill-based and skill-based environment in which we can introduce up to eighth standard.
See, I think don't try to focus on children right now. Focus on teachers. Because teachers are the people who have to create that environment for you. So in the presentation, I have given a framework of how to build a culture of competency-based learning. Focus on that because teachers will create that in the school. Because you cannot create that as an individual. You need the help of the teachers to create it. So build your teachers to that level. So they will create it for you.
One last question we'll take. We are short of time. So one question is from Clara. They are saying, how should we track the progress of skills for each student?
Good question. That is where you need competency-based assessments. One of the important part is basically that you need to build your formative assessments and summative assessment competency based, and that is how you will do it. One interesting thing is that in LEAD we have something called assessment generator, which now our schools uses, and which where you can actually develop competency based assessment with a fraction of finger. So if you're using LEAD, use LEAD generator. If you're not using LEAD, come to us and we will help you to do that.
We are short of time, so that those are the questions that we can take up. People who have more questions, you can put up the questions in the survey form. The link is in the chat window, and we will try to get Lola to answer all of those.
Yeah,
Thank you
please
so much.
feel free to the questions that comes by tomorrow, and I will confirm that I will answer it.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Lolak, on behalf of the audience and lead group once again for doing this. It was a very interactive session, I would say. And there was a comment in the chat window I saw that when you were saying that people are participating really well and answering, like giving the correct answers. So there was a comment saying that you are explaining it so well. So that is
So,
why they were able to answer. So
thank you so much.
it
Thank you
was
so much for all the participants, and I would like to meet each one of you in the coming days. If the world makes us meet, we will definitely meet and definitely let's catch up at that time.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, Lolak. I will now take 2 minutes to just quickly introduce the audience to lead group. Just 2 more minutes and then we'll wrap this up.
Yes.
Okay, so Lead Group is India's #1 school edtech company. We offer learning systems to schools. Our motto is to provide excellent education possible to each and every child in the country. And to see the presence of us of lead group, you can see some numbers on the screen. We are present in 400 plus cities, and we have partnered successfully with 8,500 plus schools. Also, we are working with 60,000 plus teachers and 36 lakh plus students. What a learning system is, it is an integration of curriculum, pedagogy, and technology. Once you partner with us, you receive our books, audio-visual learning systems, and student activity kits. There are three kinds of products that we offer: the Lead Learning System, the Pinnacle Plus Learning System, the Propel Learning System. If you want to know more about this, you can contact us on the number given on the screen. Please take a screenshot of the screen or a picture of the screen. You can mail us at partner@leadschool.in, and we will definitely get back to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. And please take the survey to tell us how did you find the webinar. And if you have any suggestions for future webinars, we would love to know. Thank you, everyone, for your time and patience. And thank you, Lola, for doing this. This was a really, really interactive session.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Kirima, and thank you so much, Rohit, and thank you so much for all the participants. God bless you all. Take
Thank
care.
you. Take care, everyone.